Hi friends, welcome back to ARC Tutorials. This is AWS concept series on all the services that are available in AWS. Today we are going to cover yet another important one, which is Amazon ECS. What is ECS? Why do we need it? What's its importance? What are some of the pros, cons, and some real use cases and some live examples? Let's get started. This is part 3 of the series. If you have missed out on the first two parts, make sure that you check them out. I have covered EC2 and Lambda. This episode we are covering ECS. Alright, so ECS stands for Amazon Elastic Container Service. What that means is that it's a highly scalable container orchestration service provided by AWS. If you're new and you don't know what is container orchestration, let me give you a brief about it. In most real-time applications we run, in enterprise complex applications we spin up something called Docker containers. All right, and what that helps us is to manage large scale container applications. All right, so ECS allows us to spin up those Docker containers easily and at scale. ECS provides developers and businesses with scalable, flexible platform for deploying, managing, scaling containerized applications leveraging Docker containers. The best part is that they integrate seamlessly with other AWS services. So let's talk in detail about it. So we use ECS to manage our Docker containers, right? And when we say orchestration, it means how many instances of Docker containers play into picture. It's also easy to deploy across different EC2 instances. Remember, we are talking about EC2 and not ECS. ECS is container service, which means it will be used for orchestration of all the Docker containers. It's really highly scalable as it's automatically scale containerized applications. There is seamless integration between other AWS services like Elastic Load Balancing, IAM roles, CloudWatch, and much more. You can define applications as tasks composed for one or more containers, specifying CPU, memory, networking requirements, and much more. You can also have a long running services that maintain a specified number of running tasks. Like I already mentioned, there is auto scaling available with ECS. Networking, talk about it, like you can isolate the containers within your own private virtual network, right? Either you can host it in a public cloud or in a private virtual network. Talking about security, it's already built in with IAM roles, security groups, control access to Amazon ECS. Let's talk about some of the features. So we can control how those tasks are placed within a cluster, all right, which means that you can optimize the resource utilization and availability. We can also use AWS Cloud Map for dynamic service discovery and integration with other services like Route 53 for DNS based service discovery. Managed infrastructure, you can choose between ECS on EC2 instances or on AWS Fargate, which is yet another serverless compute engine for containers. So in short, you can run your ECS on either EC2 instances or on Fargate. All of this integrates with the load balancers, which means that the traffic gets distributed between the different containers. Obviously, there is built-in monitoring and login that comes in with Amazon CloudWatch. Cost optimization, you only pay for the compute resources consumed by your containers with pricing models tailored to EC2 or Fargate, whichever you choose. Let's talk about some of the pros. Instead of you creating the Docker containers yourself and deploying to servers, you can always make use of Amazon ECS and create those highly scalable and flexible container orchestration services. It has deep integration with AWS ecosystem. It supports both EC2 based servers as well as serverless Fargate. Robust security, we talked about it. It comes in inbuilt with IAM roles and security groups. So what are some of the cons? Again, when you talk about managing a large clusters and large number of tasks that are distributed across different Docker containers, it can get little complex in managing and configuring them. If you are new to AWS, if you are new to Docker containers, the learning curve will be little bit high compared to someone who already comes with that background. Cost management, make sure that you always keep an eye and a budget for the container resources that you are allocating. You optimize them so that you don't have a surprise in your bill. What are some of the use cases? Obvious use cases: deploying microservices architecture, which is huge when you are talking about deploying Docker containers. Batch processing, when you have lot of huge batch jobs running or data processing tasks, you can distribute them in containerized environments. CI/CD pipelines, obviously you can automate your entire deployment pipelines using ECS. Multi-tenant applications, isolate customer workloads securely within custom containers. So if you're building a SaaS application and you have multi-tenant architecture, you can easily isolate containers for each of the tenant accordingly. Hybrid architecture, you can have ECS containerized workloads deployed on premise in your VPC or in a public cloud. Talk about some of the real world examples. Samsung uses Amazon ECS to manage containerized application for SmartThings IoT platform. Expedia uses it for containerized microservices for their travel booking platform. Digital Globe uses ECS for satellite image processing and analytics. Last, Rovio runs containerized gaming infrastructure for multiplayer gaming services. So these are some of the real world use cases of where you can implement ECS. I hope the concept is clear of ECS. In short, you can say it's for Docker containers and um, containerized orchestration of your Docker containers or Docker images. Thank you so much for joining in this episode. If you like this, if you like my tutorials, please do consider buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/arctutorials. I'll see you in the next episode. We will learn about Amazon EKS, which is Amazon's Elastic Kubernetes Services. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.